Hey everybody, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and today we're here to share with you our review of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Nintendo Switch. Now, this review was originally written by PJ O'Reilly for NintendoLife.com, but was reworked into this video by me. Before you can start playing almost any Xenoblade Chronicles game, whether you're playing with a physical cartridge or a digital download, you're greeted by lush green fields, deep blue skies, and this time, an impossible rock formation looming on the horizon, as a cast of heroes you've yet to meet look onwards. It's an image that exudes the very essence of adventure, that promises a fantastical odyssey populated by unforgettable new friends, breathtaking scenery, and roaring combat. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 delivers all of this and so much more in a game that ramps up the emotional intensity, gives us the best combat the franchise has seen to date, and introduces an all-new cast of characters that we'll genuinely never forget. By now, you'll no doubt have the gist of the story. The world of Aeonius is a tortured and war-torn planet where two factions, Kevez and Agnes, are engaged in never-ending conflict. Their soldiers condemned to live and die again and again in a perpetual cycle of violence. We join this relentless action as Noah, Uni, and Lance, three eager Kevez warriors, march into battle once more, laying it all on the line for a queen they believe they're born from and must therefore sacrifice everything for. They're entirely consumed by this belief system, never questioning their actions or the brutality of the existence they suffer through. Their short lives are then measured in year-long terms, to which they only have 10 of, at which point they'll be rewarded with a homecoming ceremony that sees them return to the Queen's embrace, should they even get lucky enough to make it that far. Then, of course, on the particular day that we meet these heroes, the battle plays out quite differently. Our soon-to-be heroes face off against an unusual troop of automatons, controlled by a mysterious man who fights for neither Kevez nor Agnes. They're thrust into an uneasy alliance with three Agnian troops who've been sent on the exact same mission, and soon find themselves imbued with the power of Ouroboros. On top of this, they learn some uncomfortable truths about the nature of their reality, and the real enemy working behind the scenes to keep them all chained to a never-ending war machine. It's an engrossing start to a game, a premise with plenty to offer, and it's all helped along enormously by some fantastic cutscenes that punctuate an extended tutorial period with some of the most effortlessly stylish combat sequences we've ever seen on Switch. It doesn't take too long to settle into the groove, to get to know a little about the motivations and personalities of Noah, Uni, Lance, Tyon, Senna, and Mio, as you prepare to pit your wits against their new shared enemy, the majestically theatrical members of Mobius. With the world now set entirely against them and their shared realities shattered, this epic adventure gets officially underway as our band of six set out to put things right, to liberate their world colony by colony and save a planet that's been blindfolded to the true nature of its existence in order to serve the plans of unseen puppet masters. Now, all of this takes place in just the first few hours, and we really don't want to give too much more of the story away here than that. It'd be an actual shame to have a second of it needlessly ruined before you get to experience it for yourself. But needless to say, over the course of around 100 properly magical hours, we were put through the emotional ringer to a surprising degree. It's no shame to say that we shed real-world tears on multiple occasions. And we're not ashamed to admit it either, especially with a couple of scenes that really just didn't hold back. There's an emotional depth that sits alongside plenty of laughter with those returning regional UK accents, delivering so much humor, warmth, and sassy put-downs once again. Surprises, twists and turns, heartbreak. Yeah, this game really did a number on us. With a surprisingly dark and complex narrative that asks some tough questions about what you'd choose to do if you had more than one chance, what you'd sacrifice for your convictions, and whether one should be happy with their hand or strike out and seize the future, regardless of the consequences. There's certainly plenty to consider and plenty to sink your teeth into here. It's a tale that's been bolstered by the game's superb cast of core characters. It's not often that you'll get a group of 6 individuals covering such a wide range of personality types without at least one of them becoming a bit of a pain. But each and every one of the heroes here is a genuine joy to get to know, and you really will feel like you're actually getting to know them. All 6 of the party members get plenty of time in the spotlight thanks to well-written campaign missions and side quests. Every character here is given ample time and space to grow and develop from the almost catatonic state we first find them in. You'll likely grow to love Noah's steely determination in the face of terrible odds, or Lanz's knuckle-headed bravado backed by a heart of gold, Mio's quiet strength as she struggles alone with inner turmoils, even as she hands out kickings to absolutely everything that stands in her way. And then there's the Nippons. They should be annoying. They really shouldn't work as well as they do. But Riku and Manana and all of the rest that you'll meet as you journey across Aeonius are an absolute delight. The game's universally strong voice acting ensuring that even the most potentially annoying character usually ends up worthy of their screen time. Although we can't go into any real detail about all of the unlockable heroes on offer for fear of entering big-time spoiler territory, you can rest assured that there are plenty of them, a huge roster of new comrades who are a constant joy to get to know, thanks once again to the quality of the writing and acting work on display. Every colony that you liberate as you fight for the future of Aeonius has its own cast of characters, its own social practices, and situations to learn about. And once you've freed them from the misery of constant battle, you'll find busy little hubs full of new people to meet, missions to take on, stories to become a part of, and more. You can really go to town here, checking in on how all the NPCs are getting along with one another, how relationships are developing, and exactly how each colony regards you and your teammates, as you of course keep yourself busy solving their problems in order to raise your friendship level in return for rewards, further missions, and so on. It makes for a world that feels truly busy, alive, with more than just monsters and baddies to battle, and one that's always got another story to tell. Even after 100 hours, there's still many hidden corners of the map we've yet to visit, plenty of adventures and secrets we've yet to unearth and explore. While Xenoblade Chronicles 3 probably sits closest to the first entry in the franchise in terms of the general tone and feel of its story, in terms of combat, it aligns itself closer to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as you'd expect, by expanding and layering on a bunch of new systems, which thankfully, this time around, feel far more intuitive, much less confusing, and nowhere near as clunky. Yeah, we really enjoyed the heck out of the blade system in Rex's adventure. It's an excellent time once you get your head wrapped around it all, but there's no doubt it could have been more streamlined, more user-friendly, and worked into the rest of the game's combat a little more fluidly. In Xenoblade Chronicles 3, though, these problems don't exist. The action kicks off by introducing the auto-attack and rhythmic deployment of arts and specials that fans will know well from the rest of the series, before unleashing the fantastical power of Ouroboros. This allows 2 characters to basically fuse together into a Evangelion-esque being with a variety of huge screen-shaking attacks that you'll need to make good use of as you go toe-to-toe with a rogue's gallery of gloriously hammy Mobius monsters. Interlinking is a slick addition to the action here. It adds real drama and excitement to battles and is, most importantly, easy to figure out, employing the same general rhythms and rules as the base layer combat, but with much more impressive end results as a reward. The game gives you plenty of time to get used to this flashy new mechanic too, before slowly adding more fuel to the fire, layering on the ability to combo smoothly from art to art in a never-ending flow of attacks, fusing master arts to normal arts for attacks that meld multiple effects together in a blur of explosions and color. Unleashing special talent arts such as Noah's incredibly powerful and hugely satisfying Lucky 7 sword attacks, and then introducing delightfully strategic chain attacks into the mix for good measure. There are a ton of new classes and hybrid classes to be unlocked by discovering and adding the game's generous roster of heroes to your crew as well. each one working as a 7th unplayable member of your team who can be swapped out to suit your needs in battle. They can be used by anyone in the squad, and more importantly perhaps, you can now freely switch between all of your characters as you roam around the world and fight, flipping from a defensive role that draws aggro from enemies to a healing class that draws HP and defensive boosting rings on the battleground, before swapping to a straight up offensive role to truly decimate your foes with fast and furious attacks. Now, if all of this sounds complicated, which it very much could when just listening to it, it certainly has plenty of depth and a ton of moving parts, but it's always fun, always intuitive, and the game has an encyclopedic hints and tips section, as well as a ton of VR-style tutorials that cover everything you need to know in great detail. If you ever feel like you don't quite understand the ins and outs of how chain attacks work, or how to position your character to best make use of rear and side attacks, you can jump into the trading mode and practice until you've got it down. The game has a tutorial mode for almost anything you could possibly have questions about. Now, of course, we'll say that, and someone will have a question about something that isn't answered, but just trust us when we say there are a lot of tutorials to help you out. Now, in general, besides showdown battles against big bosses and the roughly 140 legendary monsters you'll find hiding around the world, the combat here is flexible and generous enough in normal mode that you'll get by without too many sticking points. It's an enjoyable and addictive experience for anyone to just pick up and dive into, and there's an easy mode for those who simply want to kick back and enjoy a stress-free ride. However, it also has the depth and strategic chops to fully engage those looking for a massive challenge, and playing on a harder difficulty sees you really need to dig deep and consider your every move. What Monolith Soft has come up with is one of the very best combat systems we've ever had the joy of playing around with. And beyond the super slick and streamlined nature of things on a purely mechanical level, visually it knocks that ball out of the park as well. As the game settles into a rhythm, as you get to grips with liberating colonies from the clutches of their flame clocks, you'll find yourself coming up against a unique Mobius console for every location you attempt to free. These face-offs, and we mean every last one of them, are just spectacular set pieces, kicking off with plenty of highly entertaining smack talk, over-the-top cutscenes, and villainous posturing before a high-intensity battle commences. We never grew tired of it, and honestly, after over 100 hours, the desire to immediately dive right back into New Game Plus is overwhelming. We genuinely can't wait to get back and play this one all over again, and there really aren't too many JRPGs of this length we can say that about. Now, with all of this praise, the question has to be asked: is it all absolutely perfect? No, of course not. The world here may look fantastic, and its various locales are stuffed to bursting point with interesting locations, secrets, and collectibles, but it isn't a particularly modern creation. It may not be as exciting as it was to explore Allrest and its titans the first time around. This world is segmented rather than truly open world, and can at points feel quite old-fashioned in how it's structured as a result. And even though there are some pretty excellent ones, side quests still suffer from their fair share of groan-worthy filler and busy work. But that's it. Thinking back over all the time we've spent with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's the worst we can come up with. That, and the fact the game can get a bit dramatic from time to time, and while that may not be for everyone, it's part of why we love this franchise. In regards to performance, the new entry is a big step up from its predecessors, with crisp image quality in docked mode and much improved resolution in handheld. You'll still notice dynamic shifts as you wander into busy areas or get caught in a massive fight in portable mode, but it's a huge improvement, and at no point did the clarity diminish to the point it impacted our enjoyment. In terms of the frame rate too, we didn't notice any issues beyond the very odd stutter here and there. There are some longish loading times as you get to the end game, and those can get a little infuriating as you approach the final encounter, but overall, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a real technical triumph on Nintendo's aging console. This is a huge game that's jam-packed full of stunning vistas, exciting battles, and stylish cutscenes, and it honestly rarely misses a beat whether you're playing portably or docked. There are so many other things we can't and don't want to spoil about the adventure ahead, but if you're a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles, just know that this is the pinnacle of the series so far. A game that continues the story and ties into everything you love about this franchise in some delightful ways. If you love yourself a massive JRPG, this is one of the very best out there. One of the finest experiences currently available on Switch, and a game we'll be talking about and enjoying for a long time. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is an emotionally charged masterpiece, a heartfelt epic that delivers the goods and easily outcomes any of its minor shortcomings, with an incredible narrative and some of the best combat we've ever had the pleasure of getting to know. Over 100 hours in, we're as captivated now as we were when we first booted it up, and it's more than delivered every bit of the adventure, emotion, and action that its signature imagery promised it might. We here at Nintendo Life give Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Nintendo Switch a 10 out of 10. Now, if you'd like to check out PJ's full written review, you can find that over at nintendolife.com with all sorts of other news and information on Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and the rest of the games in the series as well. And of course, let us know in the comments down below if you'll be picking up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 when it releases. Maybe you're still playing Live Alive, or you're trying to play the other Xenoblade games first. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking, which is why you should let us know. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and interlink with that subscribe button and then ring that notification bell so that way you will be telepathically notified whenever we put up a new video, because that's the future that awaits us. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to PJ for spending 100 hours with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm Xeon from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.